the second week of May 2021. This is Real World News, which is produced by journalism students at the Queensland University of Technology. My name is Marcus de Blong-Smith.
And my name is Eliza Woods. Here are your headlines.
The federal government will tonight unveil its 2021-22 budget. Tonight's budget is expected to deliver an $18 billion aged care reform package over the next 4 years. Advocates say a system-wide overhaul is needed to ensure better quality care for older Australians living in aged care. The budget will also expand childcare subsidies with an expected boost of $1.7 billion over 3 years. This will be on top of $10.3 billion the industry receives in annual funding. Additionally, Australian retirees and those aged over 60 will see a relaxation in how much they can contribute to their superannuation.
A Melbourne man has had his hopes of returning to Australia quashed in the federal court, which denied his application to overturn the Morrison government's India travel ban. Judge Tom Thorley yesterday refused to overturn an emergency declaration that prevents Australians in India from returning home. Judge Thorley said Australian citizens had a fundamental common law right to enter Australia, but confirmed this could be abrogated by valid legislation. The ban is due to expire this weekend.
Overseas now, Palestinian officials have confirmed that 20 people have been killed and hundreds injured in Gaza airstrikes. The Israeli Defense Force claimed 150 rockets were launched from Gaza since Monday and threatened Palestinian militants will bear the consequences.
China has defended its handling of its crashed rocket and accused the United States of holding them to unfair standards. The rocket crashed in the Indian Ocean yesterday after days of speculation over where the debris would land. NASA accused Beijing of acting recklessly after letting the debris fall to Earth seemingly uncontrolled.
Back home now, Aussie television host Bert Newton has had his leg amputated in an emergency operation on Saturday. The surgery followed after a complication with a toe infection. Bert's wife, Patty, said the TV star was in good spirits after his surgery and now has a long recovery ahead.
It's time to mind your business. Joining us with your financial headlines is Aaron Bell.
Yes. Australia's central bank issued an all is well statement this week, signalling that it won't be raising interest rates anytime soon. In fact, Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe says he doesn't expect any major changes in the surging economy until at least 2024. He also said that no one should be worried about inflation. In related news, Australian companies are rushing into the public markets at a rate we haven't seen since 2007. As for the list of companies going public, we are seeing all sorts, pubs and hospitals, and they've raised $2.3 billion in IPOs this year. In retail news, furniture company Nick Scali raised its profit forecast by 90%. Sales are so high this year, the company says it's on track to show a net profit of up to $80 million. In real estate news, the Aussie housing market is still too hot to handle. Housing prices rose 1.2% in April, and while the cost of housing may level off, Brisbane has seen housing prices rise by 8.3% over the last 12 months. Finally, because it's interesting, Bill and Melinda Gates are calling it quits after 27 years. As you know, Bill Gates founded Microsoft in 1975 and today is worth $130 billion US. Interestingly, Melinda says she wants none of it. Checking the markets, the US Dow Jones is up 19 points, the Nasdaq is down 261 points, and the Aussie ASX is up 39 points. Those are the financial news headlines. I'm Aaron Bell, and that's us minding your business.
COVID-19 has greatly impacted the wedding industry, with brides-to-be and wedding organisers still adjusting to the new landscape. We cross to Eliza Woods for more details.
Today, we take a look at how the wedding industry has evolved and adapted since the COVID pandemic brought the industry to a halt in early 2020. Between 2015 and 2019, on average 20,000 couples said "I do" in Queensland each year. But 2020 was a different story. Only 15,000 people tied the knot, and many with very little fanfare. Recently engaged, Eliza is currently navigating the post-COVID wedding scene with her big day planned for July.
2022 seemed like a more realistic time to be booking things really confidently, but we didn't really want to compromise on the venue.
Eliza has reason for concern, with many recent weddings being postponed due to snap lockdowns.
I also know people who are ready to, will hopefully have their wedding date for the third time, so 2 cancellations, and they just want it to happen. They're just going to keep trying until it does.
One couple in that boat is Sam and Claudia Stone, who have now planned 3 wedding days, with 2 having to be cancelled due to lockdowns in Queensland.
Yeah, it was a really weird, stressful, strange time. Like, obviously you had what was happening in the world due to a global pandemic, but then the lead up to like one of the biggest days of your life was completely being overshadowed as well. So it was kind of like a double whammy emotionally.
Having cancelled their second wedding day, a defeated Claudia and Sam decided to take what control they could, making the decision to elope.
We were just having dinner and a wine one night, and we kind of were like, should we just elope? And my partner was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. But I still want the wedding. And he was like, I know.
Low-key weddings and elopements became the norm of 2020, but wedding stylist Angela Stevenson suggests this trend could continue beyond the pandemic.
People were doing lower budget weddings and liking it.
Brides haven't been the only ones who have had to adapt during the pandemic, with many vendors adjusting their policies to suit the times.
Now a lot more boutiques are actually stocking standard sizes that you can buy off the shelf and have altered and then have your dress in a week rather than 16, which just seems absurd to me.
The once-in-a-lifetime event, the COVID-19 pandemic, will leave its mark on the wedding event industry for many years to come. This has been Eliza Woods reporting for Real World News.
It's been a busy week for the arts and entertainment this week. Natasha Patch has the local and international headlines.
In arts this week, stars including Prince Harry, J-Lo and the Foo Fighters have united for Global Citizens Vax Live in Los Angeles. The concert, which aimed to reunite the world, was broadcast globally to encourage vaccinations against COVID-19. The event was hosted by Selena Gomez and featured messages from world leaders, including US President Joe Biden, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, French President Emmanuel Macron, and even the Pope. Attention RuPaul fans, the wait is over. After years of waiting and rumours galore, RuPaul's Drag Race has finally arrived down under. The cast features queens from Australia and New Zealand, and including the series' first and only Aboriginal contestant. After initial plans to film in Sydney, the production moved to Auckland after a COVID outbreak in Australia. Aussie viewers will be able to stream the series on Stan, with new episodes dropping weekly. And turning to Queensland, you can expect the unexpected with Home of the Arts' new $60 million gallery opening this Saturday. Challenging the typical tourist stereotypes, the new Hotter Gallery will showcase the Gold Coast culture and creativity. The largest of its kind outside of Australia's capital cities, this is tipped to become one of the Gold Coast's must-see destinations. Opera Queensland has kicked off their regional tour at Rockhampton's Beef Australia Expo. Are You Lonesome Tonight is a cabaret-style show that combines opera and country music, featuring songs by Puccini, Verdi, Slim Dusty and Dolly Parton. The tour will visit over 30 communities in a bid to take the arts to regional Queensland. I'm Tash Patch, and that's a wrap.
Big bugs, space junk and 4 rocket men. Rosie Gale has your science and technology headlines.
A giant wood moth has been found at a primary school in southeast Queensland today. The specimen belongs to the heaviest species of its kind in the world, according to entomologists. Builders found the rare moth at Mount Cotton State School and took a photo before returning it to the forest. The ordeal provided inspiration for students in the school's creative writing class. In other news, a large piece of space junk is currently out of control, and part of it is expected to crash down to Earth in the next few weeks. It's impossible to predict exactly where the pieces that don't burn up in the atmosphere might land. The debris is part of the Long March 5B rocket that recently launched China's first module for its proposed space station. The incident comes roughly a year after another similar Chinese rocket fell to Earth, landing in the Atlantic Ocean. And finally, SpaceX returns 4 astronauts safely to Earth. The 167-day mission is the first US crew splashdown in darkness since the Apollo 8 moonshoot in 1968. The astronauts flew back in the same capsule named Resilience, in which they launched from NASA's first Kennedy Space Center in November. It was an express trip home lasting just 6.5 hours. Those are today's science and technology headlines. I'm Rosie Gale, reporting from QUT. Have a great day.
The global pandemic has affected us in many ways. Here in Brisbane, more and more people are cycling to work and other events to maintain social distancing and to get a bit of exercise. Shona Scalia has this report.
There are so many ways to get from A to B, by car, public transport, or even electric scooter. But recently, more and more Brisbane residents have been using cycling as a form of transport. Studies by the Public and Active Transport Committee found that with less people using public transport due to social distancing and the increased risk of spreading COVID-19, Brisbane bikeways have surged in popularity by 90%. Initiatives such as the Brisbane Cycling Festival and the QT Cycling Club are geared toward professional and amateur cyclists and are aimed at getting all ages and abilities involved in this new cycling craze.
I've been cycling since, I've known how to cycle since I was quite young, but I've only just started cycling seriously about 8 months now. You meet so many great people, it's such a good way to keep fit and healthy, and it's just a great time in general.
A reported 9 in 10 adult Queensland cyclists do cycling for the significant health benefits. The Queensland government reported that Queenslanders travelled around 348 million kilometres by bike in 2015, a 46% increase when compared to kilometres cycled in 2001. That uptake is no accident, with the state government investing more than $211 million into safe cycling infrastructure.
So I met a lot of the people that I ride with through the QT Cycling Club, and we just sort of branched out from there. So I met lots of people from races and through QT, or even just at coffee afterwards. So it's just a great networking community.
Jutta Hutchison, president of the QT Cycling Club, says being involved in initiatives such as the QT Cycling Club or Brisbane Cycling Festival are great ways to try something new and step outside of your comfort zone.
It's such an amazing social sport that it allows you to meet so many new people, and you can really get a really great sense of community out of it. So cycling has significantly improved my mental and physical health by a long margin. It's probably one of the biggest improvements to my mental well-being by waking up early in the morning and getting some exercise in. And in my physical health as well, I feel amazing at the moment.
Whether you're a cycling enthusiast like Tom or an amateur like me, it seems like cycling has nowhere to go but up here in the Sunshine State. This is Shona Scalia from Brisbane, QUT Real World News.
And that's your news this week at Real World News. I'm Marcus DeBlanc-Smith.
And I'm Eliza Woods. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.